So, Trinity is going to do our opening line.
I did not agree to this.
I'm Trinity. I'm Allie.
I'm Grant.
I guess we're just going to talk about, topics in the book and I guess kind of, open-ended questions and stuff. From A Raisin in the Sun, obviously. I guess the first question that I had that I think that we should talk about is Walter a good guy or a bad guy? Who wants to give their opinion first?
I'll go first. I think it was really impressive that Hansberry was able to make him so human. Because, while he makes bad decisions, he makes good decisions. Borderline abuser, to be honest. This guy is not good to the people around him. Yet, a part of you understands it, and you get why he's doing the things he's doing and the motivation behind it. I still don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy.
That's exactly how I feel. I feel like he's really, morally gray, because I wrote down in my notes that, he is selfish, and he definitely did have tunnel vision because he wanted a dream. He wanted to open up the liquor store, and he was just so set on having the dream, he didn't realize that it was going to affect the people in his family and anybody else around him. And he literally spent Beneatha's money for her education behind her back. Mm-hmm. But I guess in the same sense, he was just trying to have more money to provide for his family, because his family had always been struggling with poverty, and he just, I don't know, I think he knew that it would make their situation better if they had more money. Trinity, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like he is a morally gray character, and really no character should have just black and white, just they're either good or bad. There should always be a gray in between where the lines are blurred, and I feel like that's what he represents. Because we were saying, he did all these horrible things that, a lot of people wouldn't agree with how he went about it, but his motives and his intentions were good. He just didn't execute it. Execute it very well. But so in that way, he is a very complex, multi-dimensional character, because you could see both sides of the story.
I think I'm gonna disagree with you on that, because
Really?
you said you understood his motives, and his motives were good. I don't know if they were, because at the end of the day, Beneatha's education money would have gotten them out of poverty.
Yeah.
I think his motives were that it had to come from him, and he had to be the provider.
That is a good point.
Yeah.
I think just that he was so hard-headed and thought that no one else could provide for the family. And that gets into some of the gender roles that the play talks about. But he just felt so strongly that he had to be the provider that he went out and spent all of Beneatha's education money.
Yeah, I'm saying that, you can understand, he wants to help his family, not so much, yes, no, he shouldn't have spent her money. Obviously, that's horrible, because she has worked so hard her entire life to try and make something better of herself. And so, yes, he was trying to help the family, but no, he shouldn't have taken her money. That's not right.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm saying is, you can understand that he was trying to help the family. He just let his own, what's the word that I'm looking for? Like you said, he wanted to be the one to provide. He didn't want anyone else to do it. He wanted it to be him. He wanted, in a sense, he wanted to be the hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that does kind of connect back to the fact that he had such intense tunnel vision. He was so set on having the liquor store. He just didn't even think about how it was gonna affect. He wasn't even thinking rationally.
Right.
I was just gonna say that's really just his hubris is him wanting to do it himself and not wanting help from anyone else, and he had to provide. I think that's his big character flaw. He has other flaws, but that's really the big. That's really the big
right, do we want to talk about, do we just want to skip this and just go straight to the
Yeah.
Mama's plant? All
Yeah.
right. So the next topic is Mama's plant because I don't know. I guess, okay, I would not have even realized this on my own, realized that it was a symbol at all if we didn't talk about it in class. And I guess I even looked it up for more clarity, and I found on a website called Lit Charts, the website stated, Mama's feeble plant represents her family's deferred dreams for a better future, which have struggled to survive under the strain of life in Chicago's South Side. Mama's unending devotion to her small houseplant signifies her constant care for her family and her attention to its dreams. I would not have picked up on that on my own at all. But, I mean, I guess it's like, I don't know, it's like hindsight bias, because after reading that, it's like, oh, duh. But yeah. Looking back, I guess it makes sense. Trinity, you're smiling. What do you have to say?
Listen, I get symbols, like, it's great and all, and it serves a purpose, but this is how I feel about this symbol in particular. Like, I get what it represents, and it represents a good thing, of course, and it plays a major role in who she is as a character and what she is supposed to represent. But in some ways, I almost feel like the symbol was a little too, I wouldn't say obvious, but it was a plant that was growing. Like, I don't know,
But it like symbolized the family, I guess.
And I just feel like it's a bit of not even a stretch. I don't know. I just don't like it.
So you just think it's like too forward and like.
Yeah, it's just too much.
We disapprove of the plant, I guess. We don't like the plant.
No,
I
I
don't
mean,
mind
no.
it doesn't interrupt anything. Like
No.
I'm not sitting there reading it and I'm like, oh, here's
Here we go
the
again.
plant. But I kind of get what you're saying. It is like a bit of like pretentious artsy fartsy.
Yeah.
But,
Yes, because like I'm very up for like hidden symbols that you wouldn't notice or pick up on until like the second time or like the third time you go through and read it. But I just feel like it was almost too I can't think
it's
of the
like
word.
it wasn't rewarding enough to realize it.
That's yeah, and it felt too like it was implanted there on purpose, and obviously that's the point of a symbol, but it was obvious that it was on purpose, and that's what it wasn't seamless.
So it was kind of out of place.
It was out of place in
Okay.
a way, in my opinion. I don't know. I just wish that it was a little bit more fleshed out and it was a little bit more subtle, and
Yeah.
that like by the end you fully understood like what it meant and what it represented. It was more powerful too, because I
Yeah.
feel like it was only sprinkled out a little bit throughout, and it almost didn't feel that powerful at the end of it, because they're just like, oh great, the plant's still there.
Well, I liked the ending. I don't know. I liked the ending that they did with the plant, because it's like, all right, yeah, okay, they're actually gonna move out of the house. They're gonna move into the really nice house in the good neighborhood. Well, good
Yeah,
neighborhood,
yeah,
but
yeah.
and they're all packed and they all leave the house, but then Mama comes rushing back in and picks up her plant and then leaves, and then the play ends. And like,
Yeah,
I just think that that's a good ending.
I feel like that would have been a little bit more powerful if the other moments with the plant had meant more, and if
Okay.
it was a little bit more like fleshed out. That's my opinion, though.
I think that's valid.
Yeah, I'd say valid on that.
Yeah. That's 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. So that's basically all that we had to talk about. Was just kind of
Should
our
we-
opinions on Walter
Should we
and
do
the plant.
like just an overall like?
Thoughts on it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Overall thoughts. Great. You want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool.
You mean just like the play itself?
Yeah,
Yeah.
outside of what we talked about already, I thought it was really Hansberry. I thought it was really interesting that she was able to do that in the time period that she did, and
Yeah.
that
Very
she
brave.
died so like she wasn't able to see the legacy of this, and she couldn't see what came from her work.
I definitely agree. Yeah. I think that the play itself definitely kind of represents a good part of like the struggles that people went through at the time, like not only just poor people but also like African Americans at that time, and just issues with cultural like assimilation and discrimination in general. And I think the fact that she was able to make this play and it became so, I guess, popular or well known, at least like now, I think that's pretty good. I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's always really sad when you hear about all these like really brilliant people who don't get recognized until after we're gone, and it's like they never got to experience people enjoying their work and reading it and understanding what it was like to be in that time period that they were from and what life was like.
Yeah.
So it really makes me wish that she would have, lived long enough to see her legacy in full bloom. But yeah, I always find it really interesting with stories like that deal with culture, because you don't get to, a lot of people don't get to see because they're not part of that culture. So there's a lot of things that they don't understand, either because they're not in that culture or they weren't born in that time period. So it's always good to see like a different perspective, and I feel like that's what this play really represented, like what life was like for these people back then and how just difficult it was just to even exist.
Yeah.
And it tackles so many different issues without ever feeling like too much. Like it talks about like socioeconomic conditions and like race relations and
also like family relations.
Right.
There was tension between them.
You get family relations, you get like gender roles, and like it was so progressive, especially for that time, and just really impressive that she can do that without like it reads so naturally. It doesn't read like she's trying to make a statement.
I would definitely agree with that. Cool.
All right.
So yeah, I think that's it. Trinity, you want to say bye-bye?
Bye?
All right. That's our project.
That is our project.
Thank you so much for listening, Miss McDonald. We will miss you dearly in college.
Yes, definitely.